Hello students, Standard 7th English Medium Science in Biology. We are busy with chapter number 10, that is the respiration in organism, in which in the beginning we learn about what is the requirement of the respiration, why do we respire, and what is actually respiration, types of respiration like that we learn about it. The two types of respiration, aerobic and anaerobic respiration. We also learn that respiration has two steps. First is the breathing, and breathing contains inhaling and exhaling. Then we learn about the aerobic and anaerobic, means in the presence of air and in absence of air. And the second part was the cellular respiration in the respiration, which takes place in the shell of our body, in which they break down the glucose and produce energy. In aerobic respiration, we saw that they are using oxygen, and then the glucose is broken down completely and more energy is produced. Similarly, in the yeast bacteria, they respire anaerobically, means in the absence of oxygen. And here the other carbon compound like alcohol is produced, and carbon dioxide and water, plus less amount of energy compared to the aerobic respiration is released. And we also learn about it that because of this, yeast is used in the production of beer, wine and other alcoholic drinks. Also we learn that the other aerobic, anaerobic respiration sometimes takes place in our muscles when there is lack of oxygen, in which the lactic acid was produced, and then due to that we get the cramps also. Now after that we learn that in the human being how the breathing takes place. We know that we take air in through the nostrils, and then it passes through the nasal cavity, and through the nasal cavity it reaches to our lungs. Now through the lungs, before going to lungs, it passes through the windpipe also. Now what are the lungs? Where are they situated? We have two lungs, each lung present in the chest cavity. We have a chest cavity here. So through the nostrils to the nasal cavity, the air goes through the windpipe in the lungs. It is situated in the chest cavity, and both the lungs are very, very soft, very spongy and cone-shaped structure. They are very, very spongy, like a balloon, very soft. So it must be very, very carefully situated. So it is inside our rib cage. We will learn about that ribs later on. And the lower surface of each lung is concave. Each is concave, and it is the diaphragm that lies below it. So a diaphragm is the muscular sheet, or you can say curtain, which separates the chest cavity with the abdomen cavity, because there is abdominal cavity also. So abdomen and chest cavity is separated by this diaphragm. But before that, you have to be careful. You must know that the right lung is larger than the left lung. Little there is a size change. So the right lung is larger than the left lung, but not much difference. A little difference between the size of both the lungs are there. Now, what is the diaphragm? The chest cavity is separated from the abdomen. This is your abdomen, this is your chest cavity. So between them, there is a muscular seat which is called a diaphragm. When diaphragm moves downwards, what happens when we breathe in? Before that, the diaphragm must move downwards. So what happens? The area of chest cavity becomes more, right? Called a diaphragm. When diaphragm moves downwards, the space in the chest cavity increases. So the chest cavity becomes larger. And what happens? The air rushes into the lungs from the atmosphere. So as a result, air from atmosphere rushes through nose. And when the diaphragm moves upward to its original position, what happens? When it moves upwards back at its original position, the chest cavity, the size is decreasing again, and as a result, air is getting forced, so it will come out of the chest cavity through the nose again. So that is the thing in which the lungs and diaphragms are getting separated like that. Now the ribs form the rib cage. If you press here, there are some bones here. You can see in the picture also. I will show you a picture here. Right? These are both the lungs, and those yellow things are the ribs. And it makes the rib cage. It is on the both sides, but to show you the lungs, they didn't. So you can see here also. So the rib cage, ribs form the rib cage which encloses the chest cavity. Means it is all around the chest cavity, from the back to front, both sides, and the whole chest cavity is within this the rib cage. During the inhalation, now the both thing, the ribs and the diaphragm, both are very, very important while we breathe in and breathe out. Both are getting moved so that either the chest cavity is becoming, the space inside the chest cavity either increases or decreases, so that air can go in and air can come out. So here, what happens during inhalation? Inhalation means we know that inhalation means when we breathe in the air which is rich in oxygen. So what happens that time? During inhalation, ribs move up and outward. What happens? The ribs moves where? Up and outward, means up and outwards. So what happens? It goes up and outward, so it becomes space more. Similarly, the diaphragm moves down. So the whole chest cavity is getting bigger, and therefore air has a space to go in. So air will rush in through the nostril to the windpipe and goes into the lungs. Similarly, during the exhalation, ribs move down and inward. So what happens? The space decreases. The diaphragm also come back to its original position, and which reduces the size of the chest cavity, and so the air is pushed out of the lungs. Now, during the inhalation and exhalation, as we see that there is important thing of the ribs and the diaphragm are getting movement. Now, one most important thing to know is also we have to learn about it, that these lungs are very, very delicate. So the smoking can damage the lungs also. So smoking is also linked to cancer, and therefore it must be avoided. So that lungs, as I told you, are very, very, very delicate. And when we smoke the cigarettes, then there is in the tobacco there is a nicotine, which is a very dangerous substance, and that can damage your lungs. And if the lungs are damaged, then you have trouble in breathing in, breathing out, etc. And there can be more dangerous also. Similarly, one more thing we have to remember during inhalation and exhalation. Maybe sometimes your parents will be telling you about that also. Sometimes when you open your mouth and take the breathe like that, then they will tell you, hey, close your mouth. Take your breathe with the nose. Don't take with the mouth. Then sometimes we think that what is difference? We are taking air in. Doesn't matter. Is it going through the nose or going through the mouth? No. There is a big difference in it. Maybe some of you knows that inside your there's nostrils. If you look in the mirror by pulling up, and then you will see that there are tiny, tiny, small, small hair inside them. And sometimes some hard things are also getting stuck in your nose, especially when go out, when there is a windy and some dust is also moving inside out that in the air. Then you will feel that something is stuck, then you have to take it out, clean your nose. What is that thing actually? So actually in our nose, in nostrils, there are some small hair there. And hair are working like a filter. When the air with dust or some pollen grains or some unwanted particles are there in the air, so when we breathe in, what happens? They are getting filtered, and those dust particles or some pollen grains are getting stuck between the hair, and that will not go in. But if you take the breathe with your mouth, what will happen? Will it be filtered? No ways. It will not get filtered, and all the dust, all that pollen grains or other unwanted carbon particles also there sometimes, because when we burn the rubbish like that or something, the small carbon particles are also there. We cannot even see them. Similarly, from the vehicles also, that exhausted, that gases, in that also there are sometimes carbon particles, and that also can go through the mouth. So whenever you breathe, try not to breathe through the mouth, but always breathe with the nose. In the nose, there is something another also. There is some sticky thing also there, which is known as mucus. And that mucus, what does it? It also helps the hair to getting trapped that particles. Similarly, when it passes through here, it is getting warm also, and therefore it is very, very nice for our body, because it can kill the bacteria also. So here I mean to say that you have always to breathe in with the help of the nose only and not from the mouth, because in the mouth we don't have any type of hair, right? So however, sometimes these particles may get past the hair in the nasal cavity. Sometimes what happens, if we breathe very hardly, or sometimes where there is much wind, then maybe it can go in your nasal cavity, and that can irritate also, and as a result of which we sneeze. Sometimes we sneeze, you know that. Why? Sometimes that things goes in the windpipe, and then it getting irritated in our nose, then we know that we are sneeze now. So by sneezing, that particles can go out, and that is the thing we are. So sneezing expels these foreign particles from the inhaled air, and a dust-free, clean air enters our body. So to avoid these unwanted particles and smoke, dust, pollen, etc., as I told you, we have to breathe through the nasal cavity only, and not from the mouth, as I told you before. And as I told you, be careful, smoking can damage your lungs. So here in this section, what did we learn? Let us take a glance on it again. We learned about the lungs, that we have two lungs in the chest cavity, and what is important about it? Which one is larger? The right lung is larger than the left one, but not like a big difference in it. Then we also learned that the lower surface is concave and it have a diaphragm below it, and diaphragm is helpful when the breathing is taking place. So what is diaphragm? That also learned that it is making separation of the chest cavity with the abdomen, and then it also helps when the movement is taking place, so that it increases and decreases the chest cavity along with the ribs. Ribs are enclosing the whole chest cavity, and then it is also helpful while we breathe in and breathe out by increasing or decreasing the space in the chest cavity, so that we can breathe in and out properly. So that is the important thing we learned today. So read it carefully. It will be followed by the PDF file, and whatever is there, you must write down properly in your notebook. And if any problem, confusion, please write down in the comment section. Thank you very much.